Okay, so now we're going to take what you just saw and reverse the process and break it down into little steps. And so you can see how this works, how do we put these experiences together. We're going to be talking about the XR experiences. We've heard a lot of terminologies these 2 days: assets, lessons, experiences. So we're just going to give you an example, walking through different experiences step by step, and lead you into what we call the Metaverse Builder and a spatial meeting. But introduce yourself. And
yeah, so hello and welcome everyone. I didn't have a chance to welcome everyone before, so it's really nice to be here with you all, and thank you very much for coming. I know we all know it's already Friday afternoon. That's why the fun people comes on the end, right? And we want to make sure that you guys don't fall asleep, so if your coffee cup is not filled, do it, because we're going to talk a lot. All right? So my name is Marcin. John, we're both members of the customer success team. John is more focused on XR experiences and directing that area. I'm looking forward to more towards the trainings and different delivery of the training within the customer success team. So we both most likely either work with you already, or we are part of the process that Rina introduced as an implementation process in your organization. So for today, we plan around an hour, hour and a half, depends how long you're going to survive, on the getting you more on hands-on, we call it MasterClass, right? The name isn't the best one, but it's actually about seeing practically processes that are involved in creativity, in creation of those experiences that Dan, our partners from around the world, Rina, and everybody else showed, and how you already understand how does it help in the sense of changing the processes, changing the mindset, building up the awareness, building a safer, better world or meta world, right? We want to show you how easy it is, and of course proof is always in the pudding. So we want to do a lot of practical demonstrations. So please excuse us that we will be running around you from time to time, walking with our iPads, phones and others, which is also one of the remarks I want to do. How many of you have a smartphone with you, guys? Everyone, right? I always ask the question, how smart is your smartphone? Exactly, that always depends on the two aspects, yeah? Apple always introduced that there is an app for everything, right? But the app for everything, it's not going to solve your problem. So we want to show and focus on the app called EON XR. But the key element of that equation to make it smart is what? To make a smartphone smart, who? And I purposely think, where is this key element of that equation to make it a smartphone? Smart user, right? So right, so let's be the smart users. How many of you downloaded EON XR on your phone already? Hands up, please. Few people. If you didn't download it, I have a very bad news for you. The app is free to download. So you can download it, and then we would like to recommend you can interrupt us here. We will be doing, as I said, we're trying to be a showman. I'm more like trying to kind of work like that. But the thing is, we want you to be part of that show. We will be showing some experiences, creating experiences. We will do the online meeting, if the internet will allow us.
Yes, it will work.
But we would like you to also install the app. When you will install the app, you can easily create and use, and you will be able to join us in some of the activities. If it will not work, we're going to blame the technology guys who wrote it. They already left the room, so we can blame them. But we're pretty much sure that it's already working. All right, so for the introduction, I think that will be all. Do you have any questions before we're going to start? If we're going to teach you about the EON XR, do you have any questions that you would like to ask to make sure we also going to cover?
And if you're looking at your phone, you can go to Google Play or the Apple Store and just type in EON-XR. Yeah, -XR. And you see it, download, free download, and you prompt it to create a free account, and you'll have access to the library that I'll be showing you here today. That was the question, okay.
It's on Apple Play, so it's on Google and Apple. So the thing is, it's what we're going to concentrate on what EON concentrate on in the development. Yes, it is a mobile technology, but we also agnostic from a point of view of delivery. So the fact is, it's actually that's on the board there. There is a Google Play, Apple App Store, you can download for Microsoft Windows, you can download for your Mac. That means every good news for all the colleges. Not everyone has, of course, in the classroom available tablets and iPhones to, or smartphones to provide to the students, but there are more often the computers, right? So the app also works on the Windows and Mac, so that's not the problem. Plus, a part of the discussion which you heard probably before also works on the virtual reality headsets. So the Meta Quest, previously known as the Oculus Quest, right now the developers confirm that they work on the OpenXR, so it will be HTC Vive or whatever the system will come up, we're pretty sure we can already use that for. So week ago, 2 weeks ago, Meta introduced the new headset, Meta Quest Pro. And Jan says, I didn't test it yet, but we already know, because the system and the format we use to integrate, it's going to work there. So the answer to it is, you can use it pretty much on every kind of device. All right.
Okay, let's get the show on the road. Cast the iPad.
So we will be, from time to time, we will be like introducing new way of demonstration. So there will be a little bit of going around. Okay.
Okay. And what we're doing here, so I'm trying to cast my iPad to his laptop, which will allow you to see on the big screen what I'm seeing on my iPad. And that makes it a little easier to show this whole process. And you're getting a sneak peek into what we do with institutions. We go through an extensive training session when an institution signs up for EON XR. We do what we call an educator course, which we walk step by step on the creation process, on your phone, on your desktop, how to put these experiences together. So you'll get a little bit of a sneak peek on that.
Okay.
Okay, here we are, XR Library. So if you've downloaded the app, you should see XR Library at the very top. Once you create your password, you'll log in and you're placed into this library. Now you've heard this term a lot, library. Now what is a library? These are published experiences. You can call them lessons, you can call them projects. These are all would be published experiences into your own institution, meaning that any user who has a username and password could come into this public library and access any one of these lessons created by any of the faculty members, students, creators in your institution. So I have the published lessons. I can go to my lessons, what I'm creating as an educator, as a user, as a student perhaps. These could be lessons that have been assigned to me by my instructor. So I just come into my workspace, say, okay, what has been assigned to me? Or I could be the creator. So I can go to create. So I'm going to create new content.
And maybe in this moment, just going to stop for a second. Some of you I see already installing, and that's great, because we like a good statistics, and we will show after today's session we have more users, that's great. To be able to create, you have to be logged into the platform. So that is the difference. So, and that means everyone can play the content, everyone can run the content within the free app. When the content is there, it's in the library, and it's been published. The elements we want to concentrate on is the ability to create. And that's a license feature. Good news is, and that's also a question, how we can validate your tool to get an access with it. So there is a free access with all of the necessary licenses when you first sign in. The signing process requires you to provide us some of your most precious things, the personal data, so we can contact you and make you aware of what's going on you. But on the other hand, very practically, it allows us to provide you your individual access to the library within the institutions that we create.
Exactly. And what I'm going to do now, we're going to go into the library of assets. You just saw lessons. First, I'll start out with lesson here, and then we'll move on to Metaverse Builder. I'm going to lessons. Now I have all these options, tools in my toolkit. What do I want to create? Which asset do I want to choose? You can see I have all these options. We have 3D assets. We have 360 assets, which are 360 images. And later, Marcin will show you a 360 image he took of this room. Question?
Yes? Okay, you go ahead. I will be helping.
Oh, you're running around? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'll continue. You see Sketchfab. We have an integration with Sketchfab, which is a partnership that we've made. If you log into Sketchfab, it's a database of 3D models that artists around the world are publishing on a daily basis. Millions of models are in there. Over 500,000 models are free, which means you can download them, you can upload them into the platform. So we connect with multiple outside libraries, which gives you all these options in terms of adding new content. I can import, if you design your own model, I can import. I'm going into 3D assets, and it's going to place me into my library. And now I will do a search. You can see all the assets that I have options to choose from. I can search by category. I'm going to type in defibrillator.
AED should work as well.
And I'm going to search by a keyword. You can search by keyword, choose by group, and I'm going to hit search. And we'll see if that comes up.
Which should we, I think I make a spelling error as I put it with a double L, or AED should also work in the library as well.
Let's
AED.
see.
So what we're looking for is, as it was mentioned, and sometimes the internet is also slow, so
Yep.
don't worry, John, on that. I checked it, it's there. The ability for create always from a point of view of educator. And that's what is happening right now. We're looking for a purpose of presenting an object. An object could be fictional, object could be real, object could be photorealistic, and we call those kind of objects that are start point of our thinking about knowledge transfer. Like thinking about an airplane, an object could be a full airplane, it could be an engine, or it could be simple valve, screw, or a seat, to demonstrate different kind of a level transfer. So we're going to go with the object here.
And you can see I can categorize this. As I build content, as I add new assets to my institutional library, I can start cataloging experiences, making it easier for my learners to come in and search by a specific category. I'll just put it under demo. This could be under emergency services, it could be under healthcare, it could be under equipment. And you have that option as an institution to really manage that. So we have different modalities. I'm on touch mode right now. I can just use my tablet with my hand here and just move this around. You'll have access to your tools on the left-hand side. I can see what names come up, what annotations come up. Now you can configure this however you want it. You can add your own annotations. You can add your own knowledge portals, your own content. You can disassemble, as you've seen some videos doing that. So I'm just going to demonstrate a brief building session. How can I add knowledge portals to this specific asset? I'm just going to put my mic here. Okay, so I'm going to go to AR mode and place this down on the ground. Now you can see I can scale this to size. Move it bigger, smaller. I can move it around. So this is a single asset that we're working with. And now to build content, to add new knowledge portals to this 3D model, you can see there's a plus button on the lower right-hand corner. I can tap on that. And I can add a keyword just by using the microphone. I can take a snapshot, and let's add this keyword here. And I could use the microphone, but I'm going to type in the keyword.
So while you're doing that, also, from a point of view of a pedagogical flow, we have an object which is a 3D model representation of some kind of reality elements that we want to use to demonstrate. And that's what EON provides straight away. That's what you have in the library, as John mentioned, thousands, millions of assets existing, and we will also show you how you can bring your own assets there. The value of the XR-based knowledge transfer is the ability not only to use that content, but preliminary to create. So this is the preparation of John as a teacher, or John as a student, because we can do the flipped classroom approach as well, that he wants to demonstrate to somebody who will validate the knowledge, his understanding. So he has to prepare I just want to also highlight in this point that on our website and our resources and in our collaboration with you as a partners, we have a guidelines. We have some sort of information, what kind of, from a pedagogical, both pedagogical and a technical point of view, how to create the most efficient experience. It doesn't mean it's going to always work for you, because that depends on your style of delivering training, that depends on your audiences, depends on the local culture, local legislation as well. But all different modalities will be right now injected by John into here based on the preparation, based on the ability of the app from a technical and pedagogical point of view.
And you can see how easily I can access this content. I just typed in a keyword and I just search for text definitions, images, videos, and I just tap on any one of these elements. And you can see I went to PDF, or I could record my own voice. And I'm just going to add these 3 content knowledge portals. Now I can expand them out, and there's Marcin waving in the background. And now I just added these portals. I could play my video, there's an image, I could upload PDF documents. Just these short, very few seconds, I was able to add content, and I can move around the space in this AR mode as I build this portal. And what's great, you mentioned that you could be a learner doing this, and I could put into my own words as part of the process. Maybe the educator will assign me a blank model. That's my job as a student to do the research. I'm going to put into my own words the process here, the startup process, how to work this defibrillator as part of an exercise.
And actually worth to mention here, practically, once again, we can say it's just a model, right? It's just a 3D model, but by the fact but that as a default, we're starting the experience in augmented reality. So we're putting the artificial object into your existing environments, make the attachment to the object already better than putting it in totally different formats like a textbook, book, or a video which you can watch on the other website like a YouTube. So the fact of starting in augmented reality in the area that you know around you already makes a better attachment to the object. That means that you can focus on this object more and the knowledge that this object is bringing to you, or that the teacher, students, creator attached to that object. So, yeah, if you can add one more knowledge portals,
one more knowledge portal,
annotations and so on.
Yeah, okay. So lower right-hand corner, I'm in AR mode. Yeah, we go back to, this is touch mode. And Marcin mentioned preferences. If I want to build on touch mode, I can do that here as well. But I'm going to go to AR mode. Okay, now lower right-hand corner, there's that button. And the microphone button, which is the second to the right, if you point over there, that's going to activate this annotation point. Where do I want that point on that asset? You can see where that circle is pointing out. Just point it there, I hit OK. Now it's going to pick up my words. As you can see, now I can just talk. That's why you've heard walk and talk in terms of adding content. So I'm going to redo this.
So this is the plus sign here in this area was the elements to add and knowledge. And we're simplifying this process in the next releases also with AI, that you can just press one button and everything will come up automatically. But the plus sign giving you an ability to add something we call annotation. So the first step is to name the object, name the parts of the object, name the step, name the elements of the process. And then based on that name, we can put the meaning by providing information like audio, text, image, video, or definition.
And that automatically comes up, and all I have to do is tap once on any one of these elements. And you can see in the lower right-hand corner, I have 3 elements. And I just tapped on and I added a new knowledge portal tied to a new annotation. And then
you can drag this.
Yep.
Yeah. On the object as well, right? So there is a manipulator. So from the UI perspective, there are elements here that allowing you, and that's a difference between the YouTube video that can consist similar type of the knowledge, and many of us and many of the students searching YouTube in the first instance when they want to learn something new, right? But the difference is that from the very beginning, even in a creative process, you have a control. And you can look on this object from any point around you. You can see it in a different scale. So first of all, you can look at it from any angle, as John mentioned. Second of all, you can also add the information that you believe for that purpose of the learning objective you want to add to the object. Any other questions?
Okay.
If I can always come over to you guys and help with if there are any questions.
When the captain showed us the area the training, there were questions embedded in there.
Yep. So John will come into that. So so first thing is to familiarize yourself, right? So the first step of the knowledge process is to familiarization of the shape, look, feel of the object in a AR, VR, whatever. The second is the naming and putting information, injecting the knowledge. So in the next step, and John will go over to that, will be the assessment activity. And it's worth to mention that, yes, you can build up the various assessment activities in here. That includes the assessment activity related to identification. That means as a final user of that application, you will be asked to name the object. And then will be the questions you can ask and assign also a time for that process. Locate. So I'm going quite quick, but
right.
We will go through that also very thoroughly today. But there is if you will save it and just show different types of activity. Let's stop here for a moment. That's already a quiz. So that's another thing. What was mentioned here as per the asking a question, we have already built in some basic questionnaire type or pool type options. When you have options, you can have up to 4 options for the answers. It could be single answer or multiple answer type question. You can add multiple of them to each individual object or to the whole assembly, and you can collect that information. But from the teacher's perspective, this is just an entry point, because there is a far higher level of integration needed in the educational systems. That's why EON, and Rina, John, and myself, we can discuss that more in depth. But we also offer the LMS integration. That means universities, colleges, and very often the commercial companies as well, which have their special training departments. They're using something called learning management systems, which are nothing else like a website with a database with ability to control who and what needs to be trained. Sometimes it's a part of the monetization process. Sometimes it's a part of the distribution process. So EON used something called LTI integration, Learning Tools Interoperability Integration. That means you could, and that was one of the questions on the chat, actually I'm following the chat because we're streaming this event. So the good news is also being recorded. It was, is it possible for me to integrate in my existing materials? And the answer for that will be yes, and you will be able also to collect that information, who, what, and when, and how. Partly. I would say partly because we're still learning. This is for us as a company, and I will be very honest, we're still learning the needs of the education from the point of view of existing IT infrastructure. That includes integration of the user, data protection, accessibility. That was part of the yesterday's discussion, and that's one of the outcomes for collaboration with LACC. Is the fact that they have a specific needs that we recognize based on the collaboration with that partner. And it's one sentence I want to just mention. We talked about it with John before. When you look at EON Reality, when you look on EON XR, at least our role as a CSD to make you aware of a very important fact. We don't want to just sell you the software. We're not that kind of a company that want to sell you the software. We like money like every company, right? But the thing is, we're building a partnership. And that's why we're inviting also partners to the event like that to demonstrate the fact that we build a partnership. What this means? It means that we have the tool, we have some technical expertise. 23 years of experience in different fields, different partners. But we want to learn from you about your educational needs, your students' needs, your IT system, infrastructure, and needs for integration. And that's why the developers are also here to listen to the voices from your side to be able to create a better product in the future. So that's a journey we want to go with you, not a single day process with the invoice and that's it. Okay, sorry, there was some question. Very good question, and the answer to that is on the EON resource page. Everything is online, so we recognize also the fact that the people want to learn without us always guiding people and going through every step. So in implementation process, we have a series of trainings. Sorry, John, I'm going to jump a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, but I think the questions from you guys is very important, so I will focus on that. And one of the element of implementation process is we call it lead administrator training, where we teach your staff, your university IT department, your company IT department, from a technical point of view, what is the integration, what kind of data we store, how does it store, security, all kind of thing. Then we have educator courses. And yesterday, two of the gentlemen from Asia and from Singapore on talking about Arabic studies, right? And they put on their titles EON XR Certified Educator. We certified people also, so we train people how to be educator with EON XR. It doesn't mean you don't know already how to be an educator. We just want to show you how you can improve or what are the possibility for you to choose if you would like to be involved and be on the front line of a technological change in your institution. And so that's another thing. So, and there is resources, YouTube webs, YouTube channels online, and we are also introducing Discord to have a collaboration with everyone and answers those kind of questions. So there is a written documentation, PDF, there is a video about it, and there is also training about it. And no matter if you have a Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, all of that works. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah, any questions on the creation process here? Just
I cannot move my object from place to another place.
to AR mode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me
Marcin will
go
check
over.
it out.
We'll check it.
Yep. And as you check that, you'll also have what we call a 3D recording, where I can record my own voice and move the model at the same time. You can see now it's recording my voice, upper right-hand corner. I can disassemble, I can focus on certain parts, move the object around, come back in here, stop recording, and play it back. You can see how the learner will see this experience. And my voice will come out, but I can focus in on certain parts, making it very clear for the learners what I'm speaking about from a distance education perspective with that 3D recording. So as you can see, in this short period, we just built this whole a lesson, which will be saved to my workspace. I can come back, continue editing. I can also come back in, I can change the background color. I can add music to the background if I want. I can upload an MP3 file. If I want to add some music to this experience, I can do so as well.
Can it transform from the stage to the script?
Uh,
So that you can access it?
Yes.
So yes, speech to script, yes, we can do that. And on the Metaverse Builder, we can do that. There's speech, text to speech, where I can input, I can type, or I can talk to that speech. And we also offer, if you come back in here, go into here, audio, you can see I can record my voice, or I can type in the text, and you can see all the languages we offer. If I type in text on any one of these languages, I can select the audio output. Some of them have multiple voice types I can use. I can save that. So if I want to make a multilingual lesson, you have those tools to make that available. And if I exit here, it automatically save all changes. And what's nice thing here, I can share this. As I build, I can share. So sharing and building kind of goes hand in hand, where I can open up this link. Now I have a link that I can copy and send it to anyone in my institution. On the desktop, I can even download a QR code, print that out, and I can have my learners scan a QR code. Great for events. If your institution is having a public event,
prospective students are coming to your campus, you can print out QR codes, put them around campus, scan them in, and share these experiences.
And actually, when we're talking about the voice recognition system, so John already mentioned most of that, but there is one thing from a very pragmatic point of view, and I can tell you from my experience. I'm Polish, and I use English, right? And I'm fully aware that my accent doesn't sound anyhow like a proper English from a point of view, like a Queen's English, though not many people speak Queen's English anyway, but I would be sometimes, as a teacher, nobody likes to record his own voice. Even the students, when you hear your voice being recorded, you think, it doesn't sound like me, right? But that's why I'm using a process of converting, and there are many tools that can do that, and we're integrating those tools inside EON as well, that it will convert your text, even my Pole-English accent, in an English text, and then convert it back to an English with the voice, I call it voice of Brian, because he sounds amazing. I'm in love in his voice, and if I will sound like him, I will love it. But the good is also, you're coming from Senegal, so French speaking, right? So there is another thing, is we have also multilingual options. So you could have, and it's not yet integrated in the tool, but we already discussing that to integrate also the translation. Yeah. But we have multiple voices. If I will have a text written in French, I will type, copy and paste it. So simple copy and paste, the most important function in every educational system, right? Copy and paste, every student knows that very well. Is possible to put, and just, it will be read in a beautiful French. Not only that, we can even use different accents. I want to have a British English, or American English, or Australian English. That's also an option inside the softwares, because we integrate, Dan was mentioning something called Amazon Poly, so it's a multiple languages conversions. We use the other system to recognize the voice, and so that's possible. Plus, from accessibility point of view, and I know you show already video integration, you show the video integration.
Yep.
The one of the thing, and that's an outcome of a collaboration with the partners. When you watch the YouTube video, there is even auto closed captions. So it can even generate auto closed captions and even do the translations, right? So we're integrating that within the software. That means when you even put a YouTube video inside your content, it will be able to generate a text or written text, closed captions from your video. So it's also another element. So use what the technology already offers, but in one place. That's what EON kind of trying to do. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I just want to show you that initial experience on a single object of what we can do as we kind of move over towards the Metaverse Builder. You've seen examples with multiple assets, how we can bring them in. You've seen avatars. So we're kind of taking a step-by-step approach. So this is a part of your toolkit. I can take an asset, build my experience around it, share that, collaborate with other people. Thank you. Let's get into what we call avatars. How can we personalize these avatars, create avatars? So I'm going to upper right-hand corner and say I'm getting ready for a spatial meeting or an avatar, but I want to personalize my avatar. I can do this through the platform. So I can come upper right-hand corner, profile settings, and you can see just along with the languages, I can change the interface of the language. I can go to 3D avatars. You can see I have multiple avatars. This is a partnership that we've made with a company called Ready Player Me. And we've linked in that Ready Player Me in the back end of EON, where one button, we click, we're right into Ready Player's Me profile. And so let's go through this process. If you click on that little blank avatar area, click on that plus button, it's going to link you into Ready Player Me, where you'll be able to either log in if you create an account or start building your very own custom asset. And you can do it several ways. You can either take your own picture. I think Marcin's going to show you some examples of custom avatar he's done, maybe dancing on a dance floor. So you can take a picture of yourself, or you can start from a list of avatars and continue building that way. So I'm going to go without a picture. I'll just select the first one, click next. And as this loads, you're going to see several characteristics that we can start building, personalizing that avatar. Maybe it's based on the environment that you're going to choose for your learners. If I scroll to the bottom, you can see all the characteristics below here. I can choose clothes. And as you come in here, you can just also see maybe companies advertising new clothing items. I've seen, picked up a runner and it's New Balance, clothes from New Balance. You can see clothes from other companies into Ready Players Me list of options. But just, it's really fun, and learners love doing this, creating multiple avatars, picking an outfit that they want to use in that environment. And once you select that avatar, define it, scroll to the upper right, click on Next, and that's going to save it as a thumbnail where you can select that anytime you log into these experiences. So that's going to save. Anything on avatars?
No,
Yep, okay.
I mean, and from a metaverse point of view, you might have also heard about the Ready Player Me. This is a big company as well. They capture some of the capital right now to also develop. And the avatar created here allows us to express ourselves. So we can do all kind of weird or different looking approaches to our own personality in a virtual space. But we can also reuse the same avatar. So this is a step towards unification of your virtual presence in different virtual metaverses. So creating one avatar in Ready Player Me, we integrated that with EON. You can integrate with other solutions. So once again, we simplify the process, and we're not reinventing the wheel, that you're creating something that can only be used for EON XR, but you're creating something that can be used in multiple type of environments that use the avatar presence.
Great. So now I have my avatar. I'm coming back to the Create section, and I've worked with one asset. Now I want to work with multiple assets. And now we know what a library is. We know we can access multiple libraries. So as soon as I tap on Metaverse Builder, it's going to put me in AR mode from the beginning. And that's going to allow me to start building my own custom metaverse world. And I'm going to tap on that center button as the first exercise here. And I'm going to search for an asset. And I'm going to say hotel. Okay, now you can see what it's doing. It's searching the entire database of 3D assets in the library, in my XR library. It's searching my assets, anything that I have uploaded under my profile, or I can go to Sketchfab, and it searches all the assets inside Sketchfab. So you just click away from selecting an asset, and I'm going to select this Hilton Hotel right here. I'm going to place it down. And it's going to start the download process. I can place it anywhere in the environment. And there's the little tiny Hilton Hotel, but I want to go inside. I want this scaled 1-to-1 because I want to start building content inside of the hotel. So this has been scaled previously. We can do that on the desktop. I click 1-to-1, and now I'm inside the Hilton Hotel. I can walk around. You can see here we have a pool. There's the front lobby. I can see some guests. But just imagine the types of training that you can do in these environments. Maybe training here with the guests, new people are coming in. How would I receive these people? I could add my knowledge portals to this section, put my staff in these scenarios, have them talk through any situations with the hotel guests as I move around this space.
And what you can also see, for John to be able to look around that space, he has to actually also do the physical activity, which means he can really understand the process of even a one-to-one scale, which is something that in none of the textbooks you're able to do, because even the whole universe is presented in a small kind of diagrams, presentation, engines, descriptions. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer. I graduated after the 5 years of study of mechanical engineering. And I understand the diesel engine and everything else, but before I went to the factory to see how big, massive is the engine of a ship, that you can actually put the full body in an area of one piston in the engine, I would never ever imagine that it could be something so massively. So for me then, thinking or designing the machines that will be manufacturing that, as a mechanical engineer, 5-year study in Poland, not bad university, not the best one also, but it was something I couldn't even imagine without being in the place. With the fact of having augmentation, having a one-to-one scale, having ability to walk around, you can start to feel what it means to be in the space seeing it and also get a spatial awareness, which is a very important element, especially in any training in air. You have a seconds to recognize where is what. If you don't see the object in a one-to-one scale, how beautiful the picture will be, how beautiful the flat picture in a flat book will be, you're still not going to get a special awareness that you're going to get even with a lower quality 3D model in which will show you exactly the distances, because as a human beings we judge the objects by the eyes, and we have two eyes, so we can measure the distance by our brain.
A small question, please. Why does it traveling the windows there or the glasses?
Yes, please.
I just wondered about it.
Oh, right there? Sometimes assets will do this, depends on the lighting. Yeah, lighting, and it really depends per asset. So you can see there's a shadow effect, and some areas are lighter than others. So just one thing I want to add, this is an asset I found on Sketchfab. It's free, I downloaded it. And what we can do also, Greene mentioned here, we can credit this author. So whoever designed this asset, there's a section in the library where I can input that author's name. So anyone looking at this, okay, I know who designed it, what's the author? I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, there is some of the things. If you look here, is a flickering, right? Yep. What is that? The thing is somebody created the model. And that model actually, from a technical point of view, somebody who designed that model, that John downloaded and provided that for free for John to download or anyone, she created a model, two planes going on each other. And a computer doesn't know which one is closer and which one is further because they put it in the digital space physically, one on top of each other. It's called a Z-fighting effect on the computer graphics. That's the effect. We will show you that there is an ability for you to fix those kind of elements as well. It's outside, it's not EON's fault, it's just elements of the computer graphics. When you put two things in a virtual space in the same position, sometimes you don't know which one is on top of each other because physically, in the real world, I can't put paper into this table, right? In the virtual world, I can do it. So it has its benefits and downside and upside, because if you will do the transparent view, for instance here, in this case, if you will change to the transparent view, you see it's differently because then you can see through it, so it doesn't have to judge on the elements what is further, what is back. So that's another thing in here. Please. So the good thing is, if you are, depends how you approach, what device you're using for doing. So if you're working on a PC, and then you have a mouse, yes? And we learned to use this artificial thing called the mouse and the keyboard to operate human-computer interaction based on the mouse and the text inputs from the keyboard. When you're working on a mobile device, you learn how to use this as your controller. Right finger, one finger, two fingers, swipe, and order. So there is a possibility. We can be good fingers. In virtual reality, we could be lazy. That means, hey, John, if we will switch off the one-to-one scale, you can, and it rotates the objects, make it smaller, so he can right now take it and move it around however he wants, including a three-finger option, put it up, put it down, so you could navigate in a way. It's not like a joystick navigation, but it's ability for you to see it. If you will have the touch mode, in this case, will also allow you to do it. So you can do either with your iPad, you can go like a fly through with the iPad through this object. So stop for a second, just go move the iPad close to inside the, so this is a walk navigation. So he actually kind of do the walk navigation depending on the scale by operating his iPad. So he's a fly or walk navigation from the computer graphics. You can use that he can move the object to see it from a different angle. You can have even animation, computer animation inside it, that you will follow the path that was designed by the computer graphic designer and go with that path as well. Does it answer your question or not? If you will wear headsets, then you have a controllers. So then you can use that fly navigation through the joystick in the controllers. That's also possible. So it depends what device you use, that kind of modality and a human-computer interaction you get. Yes, sorry. Please. Yeah, so the question is, can we upload multiple objects into the single lesson? So exactly that's one of the key points of the Metaverse Builder. So as before, EON XR, the functionality of EON XR focuses on a single model and injecting the knowledge to a single object. Then Metaverse Builder, as it is here, it's right now, there is a one single object or one single model called a hotel. And what John will do right now, he's going to type something else to add. So that's what the metaverse is the going towards the building the full environment, objects, multiple, bring that in, and also give a virtual sense to every object in the scene. Virtual from a point of view of learning objective, training objective as well. So in here, putting that object, which you defines the physics. So that's the object of a person, and putting that object, being able to animate that object, placing it, moving, lifting, elevating, whatever you want, because you are the creator. You can decide how it looks, you can decide how it works. Inside EON, outside EON, bring that in. All of that is possible.
Evolving with the physical version of EON?
I mean, that's why we develop the software to the next versions, next products, next elements. That's why it's called Metaverse Builder. But if your question is, okay, how would the standard license, the basic license, do it? That means, and I will show you that, you can, in the 3D modeling software, whatever the software is used to create the models, you can put the models together in that software and export as a one package that will consist multiple objects, and then having them there. And you can decide, because it's a complex structure, you can decide which part of the object you would like to see at the moment, how you want to demonstrate. So you could use that, but that's a little bit more of a. The disadvantage of that approach is that you have to use a third-party tools to do it. When the Metaverse Builder, you can do everything in one tool. Please.
If we have two buildings and we have two avatars and we need to make two avatars to communicate.
So that's a good question, and we will reach to that point with John. We will do actually, I mean, even though we are physically in the same space, we will show you exactly that. Based on this experience or based on the hotel experience, we will be having two different avatars. John own, myself own, which I can control, John can control his own. We can see the same object being in the same space or different spaces, and we can communicate using voice over IP, so voice communication like in the Google Meet, Teams, or Zoom. And we can also communicate with the interactivity, grab, move.
And you're going to show, so what I just did, I created a scenario-based training at a hotel. Maybe the construction workers, someone is having heart issues, and we need to train staff on how to conduct CPR. So using multiple assets, this is 4 assets in one area. I have the hotel, I have 2 workers, and the defibrillator machine. So I just add all that into one environment. And now I can go from each asset and add my knowledge portals, add content, as I can touch here, and I can code the plus. Just like we did in the single asset experience, I can add my knowledge portal content here. So I just did a keyword with annotations, and I can go through the whole process again. Searching text, searching images, videos, uploading my own PDF document, my own audio as well as I add content.
If you could just, because there was one question to demonstrate, if you can go to the audio section here as well, yep. John. So we will try to demonstrate and answer that. So here, John, we have a pre-designed process to simplify the injection of the knowledge, which is here. But in here, there is an option, and before you're going to press anything, there is an option to either upload your file. So if you recorded your audio, your description, as an MP3 file, you can upload that as well. Or what you could do, you can press a record and say a few things.
Here we have the scenario training for CPR situations in the hotel lobby.
And press the stop button. So we recorded own voice. But in a moment, you can see here, it actually says transcript. So because the language setting on his computer is, or his mobile device is English, Depends on your iPad or your mobile device configuration, you will have a Turkish. And that means that if that language is supported, but actually I think it is, and some of the languages are not, because we're also working on extending the number of the different languages, then it will do the conversion to that language as well. And right now it will, if you press play for a second, there, you might not hear it because it might not transmitting the audio, but the audio is in there. Good thing, it will be uploaded to the cloud. What does it mean? It means instantly that model being downloaded or run by anyone else will have that knowledge injected. Right? So change once and get provided to everybody. Plus, there is an edit option you can edit that as well. And you can do the new recording as well. Plus, if you press add, the button add there, initially that our server, so that audio is sent to our servers, to EON servers, and they will do the conversion for the text, and in a few moments of time, that text will be available there converted. Depends on the internet speed, that's why we do need internet, but I have also questions from time to time from different regions. And there are rural regions which they will say, okay, we don't have access to the internet as good as, for instance, in United States or other countries, so how we can use it. There is an option as well for experiences to be preloaded or downloaded for offline use from your mobile device. That means there is a possibility without internet access to play some of the functionality of the EON XR. I'm purposely saying some, because if you linking YouTube video to your lesson, right, to your experience, and you don't have internet access, it's obvious you're not going to be able to stream the YouTube video onto your mobile device, right? If you want to do the video collaboration, like a special meeting, that two avatars talking to each other, without internet, that will not be possible. So the thing is, we provide as much as technically we can predict and provide offline. We want to make sure, on the other hand, that the experience is small, easy to download, so there are only small files that being downloaded as a series of little files into your device, so it works fast, smooth, and even with a low bandwidth allow you to communicate, collaborate, or learn on the individual basis. Okay?
And I also can add activities, such as you saw in the previous single lesson, where I can come in and now this looks familiar from the previous lesson. I can create my quiz, my identify, locate. I can do my 3D avatar recording. So if I record right in here, I can do a recording session. I could walk around this environment. I could point my laser pointer, move around the space, do kind of a guided tour of the hotel lobby, and I'll hit stop. And then what I'll do, I can play it back. And then the voice is coming out there, but here I'm going to back up for a bit. Here's my avatar, you'll hear the voice.
And I could physically walk around that space and you'll see my avatar walking through. So the guided tour, the guided training session based on that avatar that you selected and the scene that you just created. So it really empowers that creator to create something very unique, very relevant to what you're teaching, and all in one lesson, one experience with multiple assets.
And maybe when we see this page also, so you see, as John mentioned, quiz, identify, locate, and 3D recording, but when you see the all assessments there, you will have the list. If you have multiple of them, you have the list of all of them together, so you can design your experience depending if you want to have a micro learning, just a small learning, or more activities. And that's, once again, we don't necessarily enforce it has to be that amount of the time to use it. The more content you're going to put into it, you of course expect the user to spend more time also on consuming that knowledge, right? So that's another element here that you can also, and there is a 3D assessment button as well, that you can decide either the recording becomes cluster or taken as a being graded or not. We have some of the reports also to your question about the connection with the grading system. That actually came, Rina, we remember quite recently we had this question about the connecting with the grading system, right? And there are some of the challenges on the back end to put it in a correct format, but the good news is already being collected by the system itself.
So the way it works is LMS is the LMS, like Canvas, Blackboard. How many people here use Moodle? That's one of the common ones, or Canvas. So it provisions the licenses so you can see if people are on. When you take the different activities, locate, identify, and the quiz, when you finish that, basically, like when I grade, I don't want to go through everything, and I might have 100 people in the lecture or whatever. So the LMS is designed to grade. You can, as a teacher, always grade things automatically, and the EON works that way, where you can take a quiz, and then it says that you completed the lesson, meaning all of those identify, locate, and quizzes. And once it's complete, it sends that points to the other side of your LMS, so that's kind of the normal mode of operation. So it's not the LMS, but it is connected to the LMS. So you can still do complex quizzes and essays and things in your LMS, like we all do. But sometimes that's not convenient in 3D, because if you're rotating an object around and then you're trying to like find a certain part, or you want to see how somebody assembles something, disassembles, as in Captain Keith showed, order of operations. You're going through a checklist. You can click each thing in order. Those are the things that are easier to assess in the platform.
All right, so what you have seen in here is the creation of the experience using a 3D model. And there was also a question what we can do if we want to put a model as a scanned object or own environment, how easy it is, and I will show you that as well. Yes, please. So if we're talking about the EON XR as a platform that you're using to distribute that information, okay? So within the EON XR, you're creating a Metaverse Builder experience. So which will be, for instance, you putting your team is putting there the 3D objects, you're putting all different elements there. So then you inject the knowledge elements as John was showing, and when you want to share it with somebody, there is an option to share the experience as a link, as a URL, as a QR code, or inject into your tool. So if you want to share it via your phone, so you're on your phone, you want to invite somebody to join in that moment of time. So there is something called notification system. So you could theoretically, there is an option called assign. So when you're creating an experience, you can assign. Usually we invented that was invention for the teacher to make sure that the students in their individual my list of the lessons will get that popping up, and we have a notification on mobile device that will pop up saying that Mr. XYZ assign you to that experience, which means expectation is that you're going to open that experience and you're going to ruin that experience. But that's an offline thing, so you're sending to somebody and they can ruin it whenever they want, right? There is also a separate option that you can share the link to the collaborative meeting, like a Google Meet or like a Zoom or Microsoft Teams is doing, that you can share the link and then invite, and we will do that as well. Maybe actually we can do it straight away. Maybe I'll also share my thing.
Yep.
So that means you can share your link to the meeting, that you can have real-time collaboration with the person. So that's a kind of a possibility. If you're thinking about, for instance, sending a separate messages, do this, do that, you can inject them into the lesson, into the experience, but that's not the most effective use of the solution.
And just to review that here, I'm going into a lesson. I can download that offline and open up that link. There's that link. I can share it with anyone in my institution, or I can make it public, where anyone outside, they don't have a license, but they still want to see what I'm creating. I can do that as well. I can make those controls. And then I could download, on the desktop, like I said, there's a QR code as well. And shortly what we'll do here, if we want to do a live meeting, we can do meetings in these environments, as we're going to demonstrate shortly.
Okay. So in this case, so I'll show it, if you don't mind, John. I'm going to steal a little bit of the topic from you. So I will show very basic 3D capturing.
Okay.
And we can do the online meeting first, and then we will go to the photorealism and the 360, if that's okay.
Okay.
So in the objects that can be used for creating an experience, and I will once again use here the pre-built options. So you can see here that we can import the 3D models, or there is My Jobs option. So I can also see all kind of a content, also to answering to you, that I designed or I put there in manually. And there is one called the Great Drawing Room, which I'm just going to use as a source of my experience. Using some of the category, I'm going to use a demo category and build the experience. So the same thing as John was doing, but in this case is a different environments. It's downloading. That means it doesn't take my memory till it's needed. I can see the image from the webcam, and then on any place I can put that in. Looks weird initially. I can make it bigger and go inside it, and you can see that the photorealism of this scene right now is different from a 3D model because it was based on the 3D scanning. Somebody done the 3D scanning, and still I have ability to even kind of walk around, and you see how many 10 meters I'm doing of walking as much as I can even walk through the walls in here and be in this space. So that's one of the things also. To do that, we need to have some sort of a technology to create a scanning, to do the scanning. And 3D scanning is a massive topic. We're not going to be able to cover, but the good thing is, you see those little objects here, cameras? There are more of those cameras on multiple devices right now. Some of this camera allowing to do something called the depth scanning. So they're not only capturing information like an image, but they also are able to capture information about the distance.
Marcin, as you're talking, I'm just showing you really quickly.
Brilliant.
On
That's
the
great.
right-hand side, I'm going to do a short, brief scan of this laptop, the podium, and you can see I'm capturing everything that is in red. I'm not capturing. Everything else I am capturing. And there's about a 5-meter distance that I'm doing. I'll just do a brief one. And I'll stop. You can see what I caught. And I can crop this and shape it just how I want it and import it directly into the EON platform. That easy. And here I'm going to do a detail. It's just going to process this scan. And once it gets 100%, I can reshape it, edit, and place it inside EON.
Do you work with institutions to make digital twins of campuses?
The thing is, we are providing our point is to provide a tool that allows people to create. We do work with lots of institutions that creating experiences. That we provide them some of the equipment. So part sometimes of our grants is also related to some of the equipment. Though we want to move away from the providing equipment because usually purchasing equipment locally is easier. Second of all, you then fully manage and you have a local access to the provider of those equipment. So we have given an example, University of East London. We provided the access to the tablets, and they also ask what scanners to use. So they are photogrammetry laboratories that they already had at the university. They have already 3D printing and others that use the scanning also for that. And we're just showing in how to link and bridge those technologies with the next level of visualization. So they know how to do it with the CAD systems. And we demonstrate, okay, if you know already how to use a computer-aided design, this is how to bring into EON XR, and you can do the knowledge injection. We're not providing services related to the creating of the content for the customers. We provide trainings how to best practice, because frankly speaking, 23 years we're working with various industry, so we went over almost every scenario. From scanning an oil refinery in Kuwait, sorry, that was in Qatar, which was a massive amount of the data, and when we had at that time engineers only specializing in that 3D scanning, to the position that right now is saying you can use whatever technology exists. We can guide you what is the best from our point of view, but practically you have the power to put whatever you want.
So I have the power,
Yes.
with the right technology, to create a digital twin campus and then upload it.
Yes. That's true, and I will show you. I took it also, and actually that's a good point to show you one thing. When there was just a second, Rina, we will come to your thing. In the moments before the session started, I used the 360 camera. So there is another way to kind of bring it, and I maybe will show it directly from the mobile device. Just bear with me a second. So I'm gonna actually run right now from a mobile phone. and we'll demonstrate how to use the 360 data from that. Just a second.
Okay, as you're talking, I'll show you how to access 360 photos. I'll come to Lessons, 360, and what Marcin did, he took a 360 picture, but here I'm logging into the library. Now, not only a library of 3D models, but a whole library of 360 images, which you can select, and I'm going to create my lesson experience with a 360 photo. And I'll set a category, and then I'll be inside this space shuttle station as a 360 photo. And you can see I can move around the space, but then you also can edit. You can edit in these experiences. You can add your own labels, add your own annotations, videos, quizzes in these elements, and even select back-to-back photos. I just selected one. I could have selected 5 and have them go from one photo to the next. There I can add the plus window, there's the audio, video, identify, all these different activities which you can add. And I touch on anywhere on the photo, add annotations. Okay, so same process that we just did on 3D, now we have on a 360 image, build, create. So you can take it from also a panoramic photo also works. Many laptop or many iPads and phones can do a panoramic photo, not as quite sharp as a 360, but it does work.
So actually what I'm showing, and I will not use the microphone, it will be easier for me, but I hope you guys can hear me at the end. Britta, let me know. I don't like to shout, but I usually use the strong voice. So here, actually on the right-hand side, you see this is from my Android device, so it's once again, is a picture, 360 picture of this room. This is the back of the room. I also took a picture here from a stage. So this is this area here. I took the picture this morning before the session starts as a photorealistic element that you can see, look around, and even being able to kind of read the same things that's here. So I can familiarize myself with a space based on the photorealistic elements. It's not the 3D scanning. It's a spherical photography that can be captured, as John mentioned, and lots of devices have the ability to take panoramic pictures. There are some services that you can take hundreds of pictures like that with a phone, and they will generate a sphere because it allows you to be fully immersed. That means 360 view. And of course, within the softwares, then you can have even the use within the software. And let me see. We can have even the ability to use, and as you can see, when I'm moving it, it actually takes the information within where I'm looking up, or I'm looking down, I'm looking left and right, so it takes the information from the device itself. And not only that, if I will go to the EON XR, so I'm loading this application. And John, you can maybe do whatever, that's not a problem. So let's just start. It's loading the content. It should show us the library, and it will allow me to use either a single picture or a series of pictures to create like a virtual tour. You might know that in 360 there are already lots of the companies that do the virtual tour. I think the internet might be a little bit slow in here, because we're casting and so on, but it allows me to do that you can see it from a single point of view, 360, or I can create a tour. And recently, and I'm looking at being signed because as a CTO, is also very helpful, and I said, they created portals as well. So right now, there's even ability that not only you go into the tour of the pictures, but you can create a storytelling exercise. You can create a procedural presentation based on the photos before, after, during, and even put a 360 video that can be streamed from a YouTube, because YouTube already allows you to use a 360 video, and it doesn't work. Oh, you have that, brilliant. So mine works too slow, I don't know why. And just make it there. So then, so that's a possibility even to kind of do the flow here when you press a create, choose the lesson as an experience, so single experience. Among those different experiences, you can see that there is a 360 asset option that we can use, the second from the top. When choosing that, we have ability to select already pre-existing asset in the library. And we have assets like a very pragmatic, like laboratories, touristic attractions, a whole library of UNESCO sightseeing for that. But we have also, everyone can upload own content, and I can choose. So here is a chemical lab, which I can select. I always use that, so that's fine. I can also upload the model from my mobile device. So this is on my phone. I can have images on my phone, and I will choose the picture here to upload, depending on the speed of the internet. And I know you can't see it very well, but it's uploading this content from my phone, from a 360 picture that I took. It's uploading to the internet. Depends on the speed of the internet, and I know the download is relatively okay here, but the upload is really slow on the Wi-Fi. But in most cases, that picture, in a few moments of time, will be another asset of the library that either I can use it, or anyone who's got access to that library, to that institution, I can share, and they can use for different lessons. For instance, I have a picture from some position here. I can teach about, public speaking, working with the stress of being a presenter. Okay? We know that. Or with a health and safety exit, emergency exit signing, right? Fire drill. There is an alarm over here. There is a trigger. There are some sprinkles and other hotel, hospitality, all kind of elements based on that one picture that has been just uploaded. I can create multiple scenarios. So selecting this asset, selecting other asset, and also adding them. And I says I'm going to use also this lab. And I can take also to the International Space Station, so on. Go next, give a title saying virtual tour, select the category, press a build lesson, and right now everything is loading onto my phone, and I will already have everything prepared for doing a virtual tour directly from a smartphone. So you can see I'm already in EON XR in this room, right? I can go press one button and go to the being in Singapore, then pressing the next button and being on International Space Station, like John was also showing that there, and or being in a chemistry lab where I can look around, I can decide where I want to look, how I want to look from different objects. And not only that, and let's go back to the picture that was taken here, we can select an object, and I don't know how well you can see it, but there is annotation and that portal, so I can add the annotation, will be, let's say, coffee, right? And it's a coffee there. Then I can press a plus sign, add all the same functionalities that you had in a 3D lesson creation. So you can add audio description, video materials. You can add identify, so asking what it is. You can put the quizzes, right? And you can put images that you can, if you want to, you can also upload your own image from your phone that you would like to make attached to that object. I'm going to cancel that for a moment. So all those activities can be added. Plus, for instance, if somebody on this poster, I can add a portal and saying when somebody going to click on that object will go to the different location. What it means if I will press it in how the user, how the students, not the creator, how the consumer, I don't like the word consumer, but the consumer of the knowledge is saying, by the way, there are only two businesses that use the name user, IT and the drug dealers. So that's apparently the only two businesses that they call the partners users. And but being more serious here, clicking on this, it takes me to the virtually already to that position. So I can put like a step-by-step procedure, very simple. Take a picture, but it's not a flat picture, it's a 360 picture. That means you can be more orientated about the space and being in any place you want. Okay, yes please. That's a very good question. So actually, we're working with our team here to do the one thing. So one of the elements of the Metaverse Builder is to put multiple objects together, right? So we already have multiple assets put here as a pictures. What we want to do we want to add a special feature in the Metaverse Builder that you can add like a sphere, like a bubble, that will be 360 image, and use one of those assets and have them that you can, from within the 3D experience of Metaverse Builder, having also 360 ability, so we can merge them. Challenge will be how to put the 3D objects, because it's a flat plane, but there are some ways, some intelligent and clever ways, and I'm sure I'm once again looking on Wing Sang because he's smarter than I am, in that aspect, and I know there will be some ways to find a way to place them and relate the 3D object versus a 2D object in the three-dimensional space. And now, okay, yes please. Of course. So let me show you how to do, you're talking about animations?
Animations, yeah, like to have a process to put on a machine to program or...
Great. I'll show that if that's okay. So what I will do, I'm going to come over here. Is it possible to put this microphone on? Sorry. Oh yeah, that's working out well. So I can have my hands free and working on a mobile device, and you guys will be able to hear me. And I will need just to cast also my device. And in here, I just need to make sure I'm not...
Yeah, just for a second. So I just want to share with everybody, one of the overlooked things are student services. And student services always show up to our trainings. And why? Because in the library is where students go, if, let's say they don't have the internet or something, or maybe the school wants to show about career services and the different things you can access there, or maybe an overview of the entire institution. So career services, and also the school administration uses 3 things: models, scans, and even flyovers of big universities, and all of those things can be models. So there's several ways to get content into EON, and they do all 3. The easiest is what you saw here is 360, because you can do that, and in an hour you can have the whole thing done with all the portals. Flyover in a drone, obviously you need a drone operator to export the correct file type. And the scans, that takes about 5-10 minutes to scan any well-lit room and bring in the 360 model. So all 3 of those, and so those are super common. So libraries and career centers. Thanks.
Thank you. So to answer your question on building something dynamic, something with a process, I have here some of the models, and actually this is a model I know quite well, and sorry for some of you might already see it, because I'm attached to this model because my students in the university, when I was an academic teacher, created that model. It's a model of real flexible manufacturing systems. So some of the manufacturing machines that are aligned together, because the students were to learn this based on this experience and go around those CNC machines. So I believe your organization also looking into the engineering, so that's why I decided to kind of put that. First of all, as I said before, you can have those machines on front of you like it is. And I have ability to take it individual machines up, as well as look inside those machines, take them apart, and look even into the individual components of the machine, like a spindle of the CNC machine, looking into that and having the information, spindle column, machine head, being able to take it apart into the individual components. Depends on how somebody designed this object in a multiple axes, right? So that's one of the things. But you talk about how to make it interactive, how to make it to work. So one of the things is to include animation. And you can have a computer animations, like for instance, open the door, and we'll do the door opening. We have to just work on the ability to control better those animations in there, but that depends also how somebody going to design it in a 3D modeling software. So that's one of the ways. Second of it, and John also showed that, is because I have an avatar also in this space, when I have the object presented in a one-to-one format, and I want to press plus, I can do this 3D recording. So there is a button on the bottom right corner next to the X called the 3D recording. So that will allow me, as a teacher, to record right now the audio. You might not be able to, later on to hear it because I'm transmitting also thing, but I'm recording audio, but I can also go here, do the pointing, on the object, but I can also take and, for instance, do the swap of the machines, right? I want to change a little bit. So this lathe machine will be here, and the milling machine will be in different position. I'm a little bit naughty here with the positioning it, but I can move the robot and do these different things in here as a movement. Now I can press stop. So everything that I do is actually being saved and being uploaded to the cloud. So that is kind of sometimes I called it like a recording animation, recording a process of going in here. And when this is done, I can have a possibility to play that should play it with the audio. And the only thing is audio right now, the problem is of playing audio on the wrong devices because we're streaming. But also you can see this avatar there, which I will put myself right now in a different position. So a handsome version of me is available that not only do that, but do the animation. So you see this avatar right now moves those machines, or we'll take this robot in a second. And so it is possible, and it's recorded. That means that anyone can see it from the perspective of a third person, like me right now, as well as from a perspective of a first person avatar, what and how it is to be processed, together with the audio instructions. And that's one of the things. And now we're going to move to another level of interaction called the special meetings, in this case. So if I will close this, and actually, are you okay to join the same lesson?
Yeah, let's do the same one, and let's see.
So we're also going to show how to do the procedural training, but in a situation, and imagine that John and me were at different locations, right? And I will press a start a meeting, and John, the details for you. And I can share that as a link, but it was easier for me to tell, saying, John, connect, my number is 737-361072, right?
Okay, now I'm just going to join meeting. From my side, I'm joining his meeting, upper left-hand corner, there's join meeting. I'm going to type in that code.
And there is one more thing here. We can also, depending on the geographical location, we are cloud-based service. And we use something called AWS, so Amazon Web Services, that are located almost everywhere around the world. We have some challenge sometimes in the countries, for instance, that the legislation requires to be hosted locally in that specific country, like for instance China. There is of course some of the problems with the Google services in some of the countries, other services as well. But we have also ability to choose the region. That means you don't necessarily always have to go through the internet connect with the servers that are in Singapore or in the United States. You can choose different region, and then voice to voice over IP communication goes through the different pathways, so make it easier to collaborate. Okay, so John, you're joining as well?
You notice there's spatial meeting and we have standard meeting. We're doing the spatial, which includes avatars. Standard meeting is just a regular meeting, no avatars, but we still can see the object together.
Okay, so right now imagine it's a little bit like a Zoom meeting, but with the virtual objects in here. So I'm a host, I'm going to just mute myself. Yeah, and I'm going to place this machine in here.
And you can see I'm connecting right away. As soon as he placed that object down, scaled it, I'm entering the meeting.
And Rena also joined. Thank you, Rena. We can test if the audio is working. I don't know. Yeah, you. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
So there is echo, but you understand there is also. Oh. We muted ourselves. Sorry. So and right now what you can see, John sees me as the avatar here. So if you move back a little bit, John, you should, and we see Rena as an avatar. You can see our names, and if I look up, if I will become a presenter here, I have ability to see. You can see that my way of pointing up, pointing down. So if those information are transmitted in a real time, and I'm just thinking where to stand so you can see me in the best possible way. So if I will go even on the back of this machine, and if I will even turn myself around to see John.
Here I am.
You should be able to see me.
There's
John.
Rena in the middle. You see Rena. Okay, you can see us.
Okay.
And we can have up to 6 people in the same space.
Actually, right now even
But-
more. There is information in 6 because before we had only 6 avatars right now, because we have a collaboration with Ready Player Me, there's ability to have multiple people in the meetings, so we can have a much more options for a collaboration. And in the same time, I'm a presenter. That means I have the ability, and look at it, I'm going to drag the robot, because John stands next to the robot and looking onto the robot. I'm going to drag this robot. If you can look on the robot, John, as well.
Okay, I'm looking at Marcin right now.
And I can drag that. So when I'm dragging that robot in mine, you can see also it's being moved into his animation, into his screen. That means we can create that process-based presentation in a real time, in the same time communicating. I have ability also to select individual object, and right now John has only the ability to focus on what I want to talk with him, to remove all of the things that are unnecessary for a specific discussion. I can point. I can also stop being presenter and saying, John, can you please take a lead and be a presenter and show me, for instance, the full object, the full assembly of this whole system.
So he passed the control to me. I just tapped on that control, and I'm going to click on that house button, and we're back to the full 3D model. Now I have the remote. I have a laser pointer. I can point, move around this environment.
So there are some of the regulations here that we of course have to be careful related to for instance, the avatars, and we also working on it, so making sure that one avatar doesn't collide with the others, when especially in a VR full immersiveness experience. But each of us has a freedom to see this object from own point of view, freedom to collaborate, and ability to take it on its own, but also the ability to kind of.
Who's that? So I also have the hand there. So imagine instructions. You can invite your students, and you as the instructor, the trainer, can just pass on a series of instructions and have your students take turns going through procedures. Having industry experts come in and talk to your students about different procedures. But this is the collaboration that can take place in this environment. Is really outstanding. We've seen really good feedback from our institutions that have put this to work in terms of even bringing teachers to discuss a lesson plan, discuss what they're going to do. Let's walk through it first, and let's invite our students in. You know, Rena has done. Okay, let me drag this around so I can bring it further away.
As long as you're not fully with a helmet and you don't see where you're going and you slip, right?
Now Rena can take over the control.
Actually those doors on that machine. So all of the functionality could be controlled by anyone who will get a host access. All right, so we're going to stop on this moment. So it's like every meeting we can cancel it, we can leave the people to collaborate with each other. One thing also to mention, we didn't show that with John, but that's part of the administration procedure. Is very often our perception is that this is a trainer's responsibility, teacher's responsibility to provide the content for the students, right? And the student has to follow what the teachers prepare. What we wanted to say here, the democratization of the access to the knowledge means also democratization of the access to the creativity. And that means we're providing you as leaders, as administrators of that, because we also provide it as a self-service format. EON External is a self-service format. We maintain, developers create, bug fixing, it's software, also happens, all kind of things. That's why I said it's a process and partnership. But you guys have ability to say, this group of the students are not there to just sit and watch and follow, but they are there to create. So that means they can create own, and that peer learning, we know that from a pedagogical point of view, is very often much more effective than any in-classroom learning with a teacher or mentor. So that's what we also want to do, that the smaller groups, bigger groups can learn in a distance, in the pandemic situation where you cannot go to the laboratory. You can have that own laboratory with the photorealism, with the interactivity, with the functionality that it should be in every people's living room, bedroom, wherever they want to test it. And have also that ability to collaborate. One thing which we're working towards is the social aspect of the applications as well, to be able to increase that awareness. That's why the avatars, and maybe it's last maybe thing, because I'm also looking on the time.
Yeah. We're almost on time here, and do you want to leave it for a couple of questions at the end?
So the thing is, it's about the personalization and feeling a presence in the virtual space. So what it is possible there, and I'm going to purposely make a little bit of fun of myself in here, so please excuse me. Marcin. I will search my assets, and those assets actually, just to so you know, not except the Farid and a few technical guys who have back-end access to it, I try not to share it with too many people. But what I have an ability is to add myself or a model, even the avatar, you can put in avatar, and I can be, once I can be taller than John, because he's taller than me. Right? So the other thing is, if I like fun, I have also the ability to, and I'm of course showing it from a perspective of having a little bit of entertainment, but on the other hand, this could be real procedure, real ergonomic, real exercises, real objects. So here we have a Marcin, but he's a much better dancer like a capoeira than I do. And we can, so the same kind of models could be used in multiple formats, and we can put the animations there for that objects. We can move them all together. We can move and drag it, because that was also a question. Select individual objects as well, and having that option and move individual objects, make it changing a scale, and also add some information to it as well as an annotation, etc. So that's also a possibility. So that I would imagine, and I'm looking at my colleagues pushing them to also eventually develop that functionality, that we will be able to have our own avatars, maybe not the better looking, I mean, I believe in real life I look better, but being able to put that personal perspective to the virtual worlds, which is, I think, the key element of the metaverse as well, the personalization of the experience and personalization of the human-computer interactions in a distributed environment. So
That's great. So we pretty much walked you through building process, selecting assets, how to create experiences, how to share those experiences, and now how to collaborate in these environments. Any questions from what we've seen so far?
Yes, a question about licensing. So with the license, you talk about the importance of students having the ability to create as well. So within a license, is it an instructor and student, or does everybody have the ability to create within
I'll show that.
To show that, but it's a great question. So every institution has their very own admin portal. And the admins, as an admin, as a lead admin, you're able to go in and you create the profiles. You select what you want your students to do. If you don't want your students to be able to create, you can just not select that option. You can have multiple profiles, student A, student B, teacher 1, teacher 2. And as Marcin is going to log into the admin portal, you'll be able to administer that on your side.
So here I'm on the website of the portal. I already logged in here, and I am part, and I can access Institute. The one thing is I can sometimes, our partners, you're receiving two type of the licenses. One called educational license, one enterprise licenses. Depends on the, for instance, if you want to use it for different purposes, that's a licensing process. Everything is described in the terms, conditions, and so on. But you can have access to the multiple institutions. In Excel library, I have a limited access, relatively high, but I can't, for instance, delete some of the things. My role is set it up so I can use it, but I cannot abuse it, right? But in the other institution, and there are, you can see I'm actually part of many of them, probably too many. But this is another institute in which I have ability to have a full admin rights. So I can administer, as John said, I can configure the groups, so I can divide the students into the different groups. I can configure the roles to provide roles and the different specific permissions. So then the naming is that do I call somebody a teacher? Do I call somebody a student? Do I call somebody a learner? And provide them with a different kind of activity, so proper ability to start an online meeting, to be able to see all of the content, or only the content that you created, only the content that you've been assigned to. That depends on me as an administrator. So as I said before, we have this 9-step implementation process. And one of those steps is to teach you, your IT team, your educators about being administrator from that perspective. On every step, you can always come back to us and ask for a help, and we will help you. We provide the individual users access here with the expiration date, with the ability to decide how long and what licenses the specific person should have from the different products, so you can define as well. So when you're receiving a bunch of licenses, let's say, and there are different sub-elements, sub-products, you can decide who and what should have and for how long. And that will be there existing. You can activate the user, deactivate the user. You can link it also with the LMS, and that's the beauty of integration with LMS. And also going back to the question is, how do we find this documentation? So in the platform, we'll come to the marketplace as well. I'm going to open it in a separate, and we will show how it is and how it will look like. But here also there is a little question mark, which many people, I mean, we don't use the help enough, right? But when you click on the question mark, you have here resources, send feedback, and release notes. So whenever our development team prepare a new release, we put those release notes here, so you can see what's new in the application. When you have any, and we want, and I'm going to repeat that, we want you to be part of the process of developing that solution. So you can provide the feedback. If you are in a library, and some content may not work, some content may be broken, happens. It's only computers, right? Not everything has to always work the way it is. We provide you report issue option that you can report it, and it will go to our technical team to validate, to help and provide you individual answer to your email, because it goes via email about this process. Then it was a question about this LTI integration documentation, right? So there is a resource page. So this is a page which is open, available publicly to everybody. And our teams created user guides, which you have already as a PDF. If you want to find the desktop user guide, it will go there, and you have a desktop user guide available, right? If you're interested about the LTI integration, we can always go to the video section, and you're going to find among multiple videos, there is LTI 1.1 integration, LTI 1.3 integration with Moodle, with Canvas, with all kind of situation. It doesn't mean it's going to solve all of your questions. That's why we also have the PDF documents there, so which you can look into it. And then there is our support. So there are multiple levels of accessing to that, and that you can do things. If there is something that is missing, we will create it. That's why very important to remember, if you not have yet a partnership with EON, you have to understand that we assign, on the day one of our collaboration, we assign something called Customer Success Manager to work with you on the implementation process. So we also take the responsibility to making sure to help you in rolling out the platform among those thousands of users, to help you to collect information. We want you to be part of it, so don't also push everything, okay, it's EON and they have to do it, because we need the feedback from you. You need to be also able to help us the best way to enroll those licenses to the students. And sometimes, and I have to say, sometimes that's the biggest challenge, is to making sure that the second part understand we want to help, and they want to roll it out. There's no risk on rolling out those licenses to the thousands of students so they can use it. So that would be my remark for that. Now, marketplace. just one thing. So here, when we are in EON XR, the marketplace is changing, and it was presented yesterday in the demonstration and video, so that will be extended more. But when you're creating a content, when you're creating an experience, you can use the 3D assets, you can import them from various formats, as was mentioned, also on the PC, on the mobile, all sorts of things. But here we have something called the premium assets. So there are free assets, and there is an ability to import, so practically unlimited number of the models you can import, you can bring and take from any library that provides the models for free. But EON also recognized the fact that somebody might want to have some of the customized content or want to have a content that already exists in the paid libraries. And there are plenty of 3D online libraries. Currently, we have this partnership with a company called CG Trader. We have a partnership also with the Sketchfab as well. And this content, EON is only a middleman in the process of purchasing that model from somebody who created and posted on their service and bring that in. So that's one of the elements of the marketplace when it comes to the assets. But there is a new thing coming into the marketplace where the people will be able to manage the virtual money and others related to the also creating a content and distributing that content. The details, I have to admit, maybe Wing Sang will be able to provide more details how it will be in the future, but that's a next step in the integration. Buy and sell the own content, and as Dan mentioned yesterday, so you put in your content, you see how many people download it, they purchase it, so there is a payment system inside it, you will be informed. That will either, and I don't know how it either come as a physical money or as a credit that you can use inside the platform for various options, right?
That would be a credit. So you set up a Stripe account on the marketplace, input a debit card, a credit card, and you'll be able to sell your assets. You can buy assets all through that Stripe account. And great thing as an admin, you'll be able to dictate who can sell in your institution. If you want to have your students who are able to sell assets, you can check that off as well.
So you will be able to see the credit reports, request if somebody wants to purchase the assets. It will be looking a little bit differently, but that's one of the things that comes with the new versions. Any other questions, please?
Yes.
What the EON stands for, right? There are various, depends who you're asking, I would say, because so as a 23 years of a company, the version probably changes. The one which I like, there is a saying that the first initial particle of the Earth, where there's some of the physical elements, it was called EON. Actually, there is something like that. I checked or done some research on our founder, and I found that one of his favorite book was EON some years ago, and some of the social media I found that somewhere sometimes that I thought there might be that, but sorry. And I think that's possibly where it might have come from, but this gentleman might know better because he's a co-founder of the company as well. So, but as I said, the version depends it might means it, and actually fits perfectly because it's a first creating unit of the universe, right? That will be something if you ask me from a marketing point of view, right?
Thank you, Marcin. I'll have to answer. It's a very geeky reason. It's not a very thought-out reason, but it comes from this book called EON, and it's a sci-fi book. And as I said, you can buy it on Amazon if you're interested. And the premise of the book is that this asteroid travels through space and parks itself a little bit away from Earth. And as curious creatures, we go up there and try to figure out why is it here now. And we start to drill and realize that inside this asteroid, in the plot of the story, there is an infinite universe. So we felt that EON software with infinite possibilities to create. So that's what it is. Very geeky, but that's the true story.
You see, my motto is learn something new every day, so take box.
You were close, Marcin.
All right, any other questions, please? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. The team, I mean, I'm always looking on those guys because I'll be honest, that not only on you, Mats, don't get me wrong. They of course, the owners, but lots of those things that we use, we transmitting the information that we learn, but they are designing the software. So, I mean, chapeau bas to those gentlemen sitting here. I mean, and once actually, we were discussing, and then one of my colleagues from a company which can't be anymore with us, he had a kind of a saying exactly that when you look on it, what EON is trying to do is trying to do the transformation. So it's not only software, it's not only a service, it's a transformation of educational system. And sometimes it is positive, sometimes it is challenging, depends on various factors. But one thing that always stays is the change of the mindset and being able to kind of live in the young minds around the world. And that's something I extremely value, is the fact that around the world there are plenty of, we call it EONites, family of EON Reality, that we know are having the same vision, changing the education and knowledge transfer for a better, and that's very nice to be in a company which trying to do that, sometimes with success, sometimes with not, but that's life, right? Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? No? That's it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, in the metaverse field, why when you add objects, the avatars don't detect that there's an object. They pass through it, and there's no collision. So, is there any way to implement such situation?
So the lack of the collision is actually intentional, because that's the beauty of the virtual reality, that you could put there and anything you can imagine. So that's his intention, to not have a collision. Question is, can it be collision? The answer is yes. There are physical engines already inside the softwares that are used to build that collision. But sometimes the thing is, I remember one analogy from my life. My auntie gave me a big clock, saying, oh, it doesn't work, go and play with it. I was 4-year-old. So what I did, first day I took the hammer and bang. Then she running, Marcin, it was a wrong clock. And she gave me the wrong one, and I already broke it. But the thing is, you learn by disassembling things, by being able to go inside and being able to see, especially when it comes to the vocational education, when it comes to the anatomy, medical education, you practicing on going inside the human body, right? And that's one of the elements in here, is to not limit people's perception by the rules of the real physics. So that means sometimes it's important in a collision, in the ergonomy, to have that physics elements inside it. But there is a possibility also inside EON to put your own application which have a collision detection, and we have some of the ability to integrate that inside the platform as well. But here it's done on purpose to not block your perception in a virtual world. Anything else, please? There's no strange question. There might be wrong answer, but
Metaverse can be networking with PlayStation 5. Really, because I'm looking to apply something at schools and at centers. This is a strange question.
that's an interesting question. Can it work with the PlayStation 5? The answer to it is PlayStation VR. We recognize it was one of the best-selling virtual reality headset for some point, because of the gaming. Right now it's been actually overtaken by the MetaQuest 2, and with the future ones. The answer is EON XR does not work on it straight away. No, it does not. So you will not be able to play EON XR experiences on a PlayStation 5. That means, is the metaverse being able to do that? I'm kind of intrigued, because that's a good question, but that's also a question for a potential discussion, because we will need to evaluate how much of the virtual presence and social interactions will happen with the platforms that existing around the world. Go to the gaming platforms. Maybe not the PlayStation 5, because then will be PlayStation 6 and others, and Sony actually, for that instance, have very, to be developing for PlayStation, you need to, there is a much more difficult process of approval, of going and being presented there. They're very restrictive onto that. When we as a company, we implement changes and the new version relatively often, and sometimes they will not allow that kind of fast process, because the game has to go be approved, and then is a different thing. Worth to think about it. Right now, I don't know any experiences on that. That will be my answer. I don't know. How about you, John?
I've not heard of that. I've gotten the question about simulations. Someone creates a simulated model in Unity or Unreal. There are aspects of our products, such as packages that we can upload, and that's something that maybe we're furthering developing. So we get this question on simulated environments. I think we can get somewhat there with with the spatial meanings that we just showed you, but it's more to come. As you can see, I've been here for 2 years, and what I've seen so far, the change that's happened since 2 years ago, it's been just outstanding. So in 6 months, I think there's going to be a lot more features here that are going to go to these directions that we've been discussing these 2 days. Yeah.
We have a meeting with Dan.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you very much.
So,
Yes, please.
yeah.
Yesterday, you mentioned about the HoloLens integration. Is it still under development or is it available? The first question. And the second, there was a demo about tourist guide in Prague. Is it also, a product available or still under development?
So let's take on the HoloLens. So as a company, we look onto various kind of devices that are coming into the market and making sure we are supporting it. So there was a product in a idea initially called AR Assisting, which actually right now is integrated, its functionality idea is getting integrated into the EON XR. That was purely for HoloLens. Then it comes HoloLens 2. Then it was a problem with the supply of the devices. Then was a Magic Leap devices that we also, so from that perspective, right now developers developing on a framework called OpenXR. And OpenXR allows you to develop code and interactions independently from the device that will be using it. So the answer to that will be, it will be possible within that implementation to place some of the elements on the HoloLens from that perspective. That will also depend, because from my experience with HoloLenses, they have a very limited amount of the memory to be able to play the advanced models, less than the mobile devices that we're using. So that's one of the things. Farid might be able to answer more on. So all of the things, so going in through the Steam and other platforms allowing you to connect with the different devices, so that will be possible, which means also Microsoft VR systems as well through the Steam will be able to use some of the functionality. Now, going on back to the next question, the AI supported new products. So this event is about the actually the announcement of those new elements. So right now, the way I will not be able to play it like that. There is something called the stage versions and the versions that we are planning to release. And when is the next release? December 12th, correct? Farid just sent an email this morning saying, guys, there will be new release on the December 12th. So on the December 12th, there will be some of the new functionality coming in. So there is more and more AR-driven automated process for being able to kind of interact, human-computer interaction based on the natural interfaces, voice and instructions, images, etc. Any other questions, please? And by the way, thank you very much. I think that's the most questions we have in any session.
Comes the last day, right? Last session.
Okay, so in Morocco we work with the simulator, welding simulator or T-Paint. It's a model that we train to do welding in some module, but there is any possibility to do that in EON XR? Smart way to practice some movements.
So there are two elements of the answer to that. So one, if there is a simulator that was created as an application, or it might be created, so there is always possibility for a custom app development, custom Unity, Unreal, or other game engines. If we don't do that, and we're trying to make it easy. But the thing is, if somebody wants to have ability to create a program or application, there is a functionality called the packages inside EON XR that allow you to distribute and use the EON XR user network in order to distribute that. There is something like an API, kind of API, I'm saying, that has ability to connect that custom-made application with the system for grading, collecting information in and out. Now, when it comes to and also that was mentioned here, there is an ability, of course, to mimic and simulate via a series of animation series on the concept. So right now, with the new products coming in, there will be much more easier to have a step-by-step procedure that will be based on the changing of the properties of the object. So visibility. For instance, you have a surface, T-surface or whatever surface that you want to join with the welding, right? Before and after. Smoke animations to do that. There are tools like looking like a welding, the end of the welding machine, that you kind of follow, and there is a fire, smoke, voice, and other elements that you can do. So you could create those elements inside the application as well to mimic that kind of a process. If you are thinking about so there is, the challenge is still, and that's some of the question, what about we doing a simulation softwares? And we want to do a real-time visualization with EON XR and have a signals in and out. So that isn't yet fully possible. There are some of the discussion happening what and how. There are some standards in the past. Wing Sang actually was the key person to develop application which connect with the simulators for oil and gas industry. You remember that? That was interesting. With a full oil and gas facility, you could walk around and every valve that you touched, every valve that you change the value in the different ways the valve works. There are valves that you have to turn, the valve that you process simulator, and we were able to collect and visualize that. So there are some of the elements that can be done, some of the elements are more challenging. Very often, EON XR is about the creativity and of the designer. Because, I mean, for one person can use that to show that's how to drink the water, the other will show this is a fraction, and the other person will say this is actually showing about the gravity, right? So the same object could be used in the various options, depends on the creativity of the teacher for that perspective. So it's straightforward, lots of things are possible, depends on the creativity. There are some of the simulation options available. Some of the things requires a custom development. Okay? Thank you very much in that case.
Okay, thank you everyone.